month. That will be on the 11th. It's on your schedule. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Senator Albritton? Senator Beasley? Senator Butler? Senator Elliott? Representative England? Representative Garrett? Senator Orr? Representative Pringle? Representative Reynolds? Senator Roberts? Representative Witt?
Okay, we have a quorum. Let's say a prayer before we start today. Father, just ask that you would bless our time. We thank you for the privilege to serve the great state of Alabama and pray that we would serve her well. And we commit this time to you in Christ's name. Amen. All right, we had 44 submissions this month. We played, I'm not sure if you call it racquetball, ping pong, or tennis with 5 of them. And once again, this is taking our staff time, and it's real easy to do it correct. If we would just be thorough when you make your submissions, it would be greatly appreciated. All right, first up, ADECA. Remember, please state your name as we start, and good morning.
Good morning. My name is Mary Elizabeth Dial. I'm an attorney for ADECA. We have one contract before the committee this morning with CRO Planning and Design for the preparation of the statewide comprehensive outdoor recreation plan. It's a 2-year contract.
Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't think so. You want to ask? Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Michelle Cohn. I'm with Aaliyah. Aaliyah has one contract this morning. It's a 1-year contract renewal with Mission Critical Partners, not adding any money to the contract.
Any questions? You know, I love how we get to work well together in here, but on our respective floors, it's good to work well together. And the only thing I would encourage Aaliyah to think about is, as we have legislation that is of interest, to communicate with bill sponsors on that. We may have had a situation with you guys this last week that communication with both Senator Orr and I would have been appropriate. So please communicate that.
I appreciate that feedback.
Thank you.
I'll pass that along. Thank you.
Thank you. Top of page 2, archives. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members. I'm Steve Murray, Director at Archives and History. We've brought 2 contracts to you this morning, both related to our museum update project. The first is with 1220 Exhibits. That's an exhibit fabrication company. We'll actually build out the exhibits and integrate all the systems. And the second is Monadnock Media for media production for both linear and interactive media components.
Good. Anybody have on the first, any questions? Second one, Mr. Murray, as we've talked before and we talk in this room regular, any communication with CPO on their plans of how we're trying to bring all multimedia together here? Any thoughts on that?
Yes, sir. I did meet with the Chief Procurement Officer and reviewed this scope of work with her and got an update on the work they're doing at trying to look at media services across the state. And so I shared my thoughts on where we are and committed to assist in that in any way.
Appreciate that. This is literally designed to help us all be more effective. And this gentleman right here and the guy in the white shirt at the end, at some point we're going to see a bump, and we think it's coming sooner rather than later. And how do we make our resources go further? Yes. Thank you, Mr. Murray. Appreciate it. Top of page 3, conservation.
Good morning, Chairman Roberts. Juliana Dean for the Department of Conservation. We have 3 contracts before you today. 2 are amendments for design services, and 1 is a new contract for auditing services. The first one is with Graco Resources for well water services or groundwater specialists.
And for some of my members, the groundwater is not brown water. I just thought I'd point that out. All right, Carr?
Yes, sir. Carr Riggs for auditing services.
Questions? Up page 5, 4.
And the final one is a no-cost amendment for GMC.
Questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning. Tina Hammonds for Education. We have 5 contracts today. Our first one is with Metametrics. It is a no-cost adjustment to the work that is being done. Metametrics provides for us the analytics, including Lexiles and Quantiles, to help us understand the progression and the abilities of our kids in the subjects that they're studying. And we're adding some functionality that will help get us some statistics on the ACAP for the English learning.
Okay, any questions? Just for the committee, 70% of contracts that we're working with education are sole source, and many of you have communicated to me, and my concerns are of that. We're going to have several of those today. Thoughts? Tina?
Well, sir, this is the only company that provides this particular metric. We have been using the metric. We're wanting to tie in the metric to help learn about our workforce, with which kids are ready and prepared for which jobs and what gaps they have to fill to get to those positions. We don't have any other statistics that help us link with the ACAP results to give us what Metametrics can give, and we're specifically using Lexiles and Quantiles, which are trademarked through Metametrics. So this is the only company that can provide what we're doing, the studies at the level that we're doing them on our kids' results.
Okay, Sindor, any comments on that? Yes, sir. Okay, thank you.
The next one is with College Board, and so the College Board will provide our professional development workshops with training supplies and materials for 119 pre-AP college readiness classes and tests. Again, we're doing the AP testing a lot here in the state. College Board is going to be the entity that provides the testing and the training for the particular AP certifications. And so this is to get our teachers ready to help get our students ready for their AP testing. So it is a sole source because it is the AP testing. And so we are contracting with College Board to get our teachers and students ready for the AP tests.
Okay, any questions? Bottom page 5.
So next we have the A+ partnership contract. It is with state funds. It is to provide computer science professional learning for K-12 teachers and to collaborate with the department to facilitate the development of computer science curriculum. If I understand correctly, we have been working with A+ on these particular things since 2011. And then when the Alabama Computer Science Act was passed, which is 2019-389, the partnership was strengthened. And so right now, the things that they are providing to us, they are the only provider for the state's code.org materials. They are the only regional partner that can do the particularized computer science things that we're doing. They have been designated and established as our K-12 computer science hub for the state, and they're equipped to offer the professional learning that we need for our teachers in this area.
Questions? Okay.
And the next 2 were RFQs. So we were able to apply for and to receive the SASE grant this past year, which is the U.S. DOE's Supporting America's School Infrastructure Grant. And so we went through this process in order to identify 2 different consulting service groups that will give us architectural guidance and reviews in order to go out into our schools, especially the high-need ones, and help to evaluate the infrastructure of the schools themselves. The reason that we awarded 2 different contracts is for the timeline of how quickly we have to do the work and the geography of the state. We needed 2 companies to be able to cover the whole state.
Good job of getting it done. Any questions on this or the next page for Volker?
They are identical contracts to do the same services.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
in general, a comment about sole source as it relates to education.
These 2 are not social source.
I understand.
I understand your comment.
I've been marinating on your comment earlier.
Yes,
And I just, talking with my colleague here. Tina, there's a lot of schools in Alabama. There's a lot of school boards in Alabama, a lot of county schools, a lot of city schools. There are a lot of schools in the United States of America. And these are the only people that do this specific work in the whole country.
For the Metametrics that we're doing, they are the only ones that provide Lexile and Quantiles. It's trademarked, and they're the only company we can get that specific data that is very useful for us. For College Board, they are the AP testing group that provides the AP tests, which are particularly accepted in certain situations and have their own metrics and requirements. And then for the A+ situation, it is my understanding that the things that are being done under the Computer Science Act, we're the only partner that we could use in order to do the things that Code.org is requesting for this region would be A+ for this particular work.
As we move forward, just realize that's going to be a question that I keep asking.
I have realized it, and I am trying to address it the best that I can. I can say that we're RFPing everything that we're able to. We're doing a lot of RFIs. We have a lot of task force that need to identify groups of products and services, and so we're doing RFIs for those. We did the RFQ process for these architects. But the problem is that we have so many things that we need a particular thing. Like we must do AP testing, so our teachers have to have College Board training to get the kids ready for AP testing. And so there are so many areas, it seems, within the education world that people have created a niche where they have the one thing. Yeah. And if we're going to use that one thing, that's what we have to contract for. But we understand your concerns.
Maybe the solution is upstream from the procurement process. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Point well made, sir. Okay, thank you, Ms. Tina. Environmental Management, top of page 8. Morning.
Morning. I'm Russell Kelly with Environmental Management. We have one contract this morning. This is a redesign of our webpage. Little brief history here. Our current platform, we did develop in-house. It's probably 12 to 15 years old. One of the biggest complaints and comments we get from the public is the current version we have is not mobile friendly. The current platform we use doesn't allow that, just won't work. So we went out to over 130 vendors, and we got responses back, reviewed those, had a group reviewed those independently, and they were all unanimous in their selection. The vendor that we chose has got both experience with federal and state web pages, and their references were excellent.
Okay. Other as a source of funding.
Yes, we have some in-house funding, and there'll be some federal funds too. They could have checked that. It'll come in, with our fees, fines, et cetera. We do generate some revenue.
Yes, sir.
That's of general use.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, members.
Examiners of public accounts. How many mistakes were made on this submission?
Better not be any.
There were none, madam. I was just seeing if you were listening. Good morning.
Morning, bosses. This is for our peer review that we have to get conducted once every true sole source. It's the only entity in the United States that can do the peer review for an audit shop like ours. $35,000 every 3 years.
Yeah. As I was looking at this, I did speak to someone with your office and said, do you realize that this is coming right after education? And we had a good laugh. But I do understand that life happens. Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, ma'am. Finance.
Good morning, Taylor Nichols, Department of Finance.
Morning, sir.
We have one contract, PFM Financial Advisors. This is our financial advisory firm that helps us with our bond issues.
Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Geological Survey.
Mr. Chairman, Bennett Bearden with the Geological Survey. This is contract for Standard Laboratories for geochemical analyses of critical minerals. Obviously, I don't have to tell this committee the importance of those minerals to our defense industry in Huntsville, shipbuilding in Mobile, microchips, batteries, et cetera, for the state of Alabama. And the federal government has agreed to pay 100% of these analyses.
This office, is that located here in Montgomery, somewhere else in the state?
Standard Labs.
No, not Standard Labs. The office that handles this information once it all comes in. Your office?
Yeah,
handling this?
it's in Tuscaloosa. We're
Okay.
doing the critical minerals analysis in Tuscaloosa.
I'd like to see it sometime later.
Yes, sir.
It's fascinating what the potential this has for our state.
You'll have the report when it gets out.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Seth Gowan, Home Builders Licensure Board. This is a contract with Com Services LLC to provide IT technology support for the board server and IT services for staff housed here in Montgomery and throughout the state.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Insurance. Bottom page 10.
Good morning, Heather Lowe with the Department of Insurance. We have one contract amendment today with Milliman for an increase of funds to finish out some rate filings we were reviewing.
Any questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Medicaid.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Nick Hines, Assistant General Counsel with the Alabama Medicaid Agency. The agency has one contract before you today for Dr. Stuart A. Lockwood, DMD. Dr. Lockwood will provide professional services through his professional expertise to provide federally required prior authorizations and reviews for providers and recipients, as well as participate in administrative actions if needed.
And you RFP'd this to 71 different folks and got one reply, is that correct?
I don't remember the exact number. I know the first time it was bid, it got 3 replies, and this last time only 1.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mental health, Copper Wing. Taylor Nichols, you still here? Okay, thank you. Just want to make sure.
Morning. I'm Ashley Nichols. I'm legal counsel for the Department of Mental Health. This is a contract that was previously approved by this committee. We're asking to amend the contract to carry forward some of the funding that was not utilized in the previous fiscal year to the next fiscal year so that the project may be completed.
Thank you. Hold on one second. This is another example. Chairman Albritton and I were talking about this right before we started. Chairman Ward and I visit on this regularly. And Mr. Nichols, your input here in moving forward, and one of the first questions I asked a previous speaker, thank you for working on this, but we are most anxious to see this effectively rolled out, sir. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Public health.
Good morning, Valerie Russell with Public Health. This is an amendment to an existing contract with a time extension and also funding extension. The contract's been in front of you guys. I think we talked about the previous one extensively, so I can answer any questions that you might have.
We know RFP is not required. It's still sole source. I get this from committee members regularly. Why are you letting these continued sole source? And I know it's a quagmire.
Right, and we actually are planning on RFPing this to see if there's any other vendors that can meet these needs, but at this point in time, we don't believe or know of any or can find any. So we've heard you, and that's what we plan on doing, is to do an RFP.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
So Valerie, at the risk of really messing up my browser history here, I have done a little.
We have filters for
It's not got my name in it, does it?
No, but my point is, this is obviously not the only entity that does this type of work, and so my point is, as I mentioned earlier with the Department of Education, maybe we need to look at our RFP. Maybe we need to look at what our standards are to see if we can cast a wider net for folks that will meet our particular RFP requirements and make sure that we are not designing our RFP in a manner such that only one person can respond to our RFP.
Yes, sir, I hear you.
Okay. We've talked about this.
Okay.
Thanks for trying to work on this. Appreciate
Okay,
it, Valerie.
and we will continue.
I know.
And I hear your concerns, and I had someone here to speak, and they hear your concerns too, so we
Thank you
are
very
trying
much.
to work on it.
All right, rehabilitation services, bottom of page 12.
Good morning, Craig Aiken. We have one contract with Dr. William Anise for psychological and neuropsych services for our Lakeshore Rehabilitation Program in Birmingham.
Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Clay with transport. Good morning, sir.
Clay McBrown with Aldine. We've got 4 contracts before you. The first is the long-term monitoring of the Coliseum plume.
RP in 18, any notes on that?
No, I'm gonna talk to him about it. I
Okay.
saw that.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? Bottom of page 13.
The next 3 are all for real estate appraisers. They come from the selected from our pre-qualified
Any
list.
questions? That gets us through 15. That's it. Thanks for showing up. Veterans Affairs.
Hey, I'm Kim Justice. I'm Executive Director of the State Veterans Homes. We have one contract. It's for the startup and healthcare operations of the Command Sergeant Major Benny G. Atkins in Enterprise, Alabama.
What an incredible man, and the privilege to get to know him, and amazing man. And his legacy lives on through a group called Youth Leadership Development that is rocking it, and their whole purpose is Medal of Honor recipients. So this is a big deal. As you know, because of the nature of this contract, it was a longer period of time. Just want to remind you, in 2 years, we'd like to have you come back and kind of update us on this as we move forward. Any other questions? Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Kim. Youth Services, page 16.
Good morning. I'm Alan Peaton with the Department of Youth Services. We have one contract amendment this morning with Poole and Company Architects. It will amend their contract, increase it to match the final construction project cost.
Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Going on to legal. ABC Board. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Bob Martin, ABC Board. This is contract for legal services, a general contract. Mr. Adams has represented the board for over 50 years. With all the new changes to alcohol law in the last few years, he's been especially helpful with being able to blend that into the existing framework.
I don't know who does your paperwork. You know, an extended volley is probably more like women's tennis, back and forth, back and forth. This took an inordinate amount of time on our staff to get this done, and I'm sure whoever's doing it's not normally doing it. I would appreciate.
We do have someone, a new legal secretary. What would be?
Our guys can get with you and explain it.
Okay,
but
I'll
it
tell
was-
her to
it
check,
was-
'cause
dollar
she's
figures
learned.
were off, dates were off, so many things were off, but our staff works hard, but anyway.
Well, I'm zero
Understand.
help with.
But thank you very much.
formatting
Any
and all,
questions?
So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Ag and Industry.
Good morning. Good morning. Gunnar Guy, General Counsel with the Department of Ag and Industries. Have a legal contract with Greg Everett with the law firm of Gilpin and Gavan related to the lawsuit that we are in with the Medical Cannabis Commission.
Maybe this will stop one day. Any questions?
Maybe comment, if I may?
Please, sir.
You know, when we stood this agency up, the medical marijuana thing, That was a means of trying to help people of Alabama, and also so that revenue that would come in would help the state of Alabama. Right now, it's a money pit. Right now, we're putting money into it. Right now, we're having more and more and more suits coming in. I don't know what the problems are, but we need to get that resolved over there, or we're going to have to do something legislatively to correct this. If this agency isn't doing what it should be doing, what was promised to be doing, what we set it up to be doing, maybe we ought to just simply dispose of it. This is an agency, I'm uncertain of how we wound up in this, but we need to, there's got to be some action taken. And expressing my frustration over how adults can seem to find our way into a hole such as this without a clear path to where we thought we were going. Anyway, sorry for the statements, not really, but thanks for listening.
I appreciate a diatribe every now and then. I couldn't agree more. As you're aware, our agriculture commissioner was put on this austere group. And as you know, there's legislation working through our system now that would remove him from this and thus stop the need for ag and industry to come in for contracts.
Well, yeah, but there's competing interest involved with that, and there's at least two sides involved with this that's fighting that cannot or will not come to terms. And that places the legislation process in difficult of either choosing sides or being the side. And I guess my comments today is to get these adults today moving to accomplish something. That's my comments.
Thank you, sir. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Assisted living administrators.
Good morning, members of the committee. This is for the General Counsel for this Board of Assisted Living Administrators. And we had tried to have somebody from the Attorney General's office, but when we took over this emergency contract 3 years ago, they left. And then, you know, there was a big transition, and they've had a shortage of AGs to do administrative work. And I tried to pull somebody else in, but they refused to take the board at the time.
I don't know who did the rejection. Initial rejection, cover sheet and contract expired. No new contract submitted for the current period. Second submission listed as a renewal instead of a new contract. Third submission, cover sheet had the wrong dates on it. That takes up our staff's time, which is a waste of time to do that. And we can do better is what I'd say there.
Yes, sir. I apologize, and I was working with the legal counsel secretary, and very frustrated, and I apologize to Jason and Sonny both about that. Certainly won't happen again in the future.
Senator Elliott?
Yeah.
Comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate you bringing up the inability to fill out that paperwork correctly and the back and forth on that. You know, one thing I note in the justification for this is that the gentleman here, Mr. Sasser, possesses unique knowledge, experience, and expertise representing state boards and agencies and has an extensive knowledge of the APA and Open Meetings Act. And then I refer back to the examiner's audit of this entity and the significant issues that continue to be highlighted with this board and those that are administering it, including improper payments to the Austin Group. There are two significant issues on that. And paying a former board member to teach a class. So there's a board member, and then the board's paying the board member. Not acting on certain complaints. Another significant issue. The complaint records did not contain adequate documentation or demonstrate the complaints were notified of the resolution of the complaint. Board charging fees that it wasn't allowed to charge. Here's my favorite. And here's an expert in the knowledge of APA and Open Meetings Act. Significant issue 2023-007 meeting minutes for the period of 2018 through 2025 review, and then all these discrepancies about executive sessions, about, again, minutes. preserving minutes. It just goes on, Mr. Chairman. This is a chronic problem. These issues do not go away. They continue to get worse, and we continue to allow it. And it is our fault for continuing to allow this to persist. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to hold this contract, please.
Yes, sir, Senator Orr. Thank you.
Thank you.
Attorney General.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, honorable members of the committee. David Brewer on behalf of the Attorney General's office. We have 4 contracts before you today, all dealing with the defense of the Protection for Children Act. The first contract is an amendment to a contract with Christopher Mills to add $50,000 to see that through till June.
Okay. Any questions?
I got
one. Go through this. We've got, yes.
I got one real quick. I'm guessing here, and a good attorney, which I am not, would never ask a question he didn't know the answer to. But Jason, I bet there weren't any problems with this submittal, were there? I've known that guy for a long time. You want to talk about an I.T. crosser?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Mr.
All right. On top of page 20, any questions? Bottom page 20, any questions? 21. Top. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Corrections.
Good morning. I'm Mandy Spears with the Department of Corrections. Today we have one contract amendment. It is to change the hourly rate for Karen Ray of Correctional Improvement and Sustainability Consultants, LLC.
Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Top of page 22.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. David Brewer, again in cooperation with the Department of Corrections, a contract with Terry Tompkins for a 2-year period to handle ongoing litigation.
Okay. Questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Human Resources, bottom page 22.
I'm Jennifer Bush with DHR Legal. This is a 2-year renewal of a legal services contract with White and Iverson, LLC, to provide legal services to our various county DHR offices.
Any questions? Thank you. Medical examiners.
Good morning, Effie Hawthorne, counsel for the board. We have one contract for legal services, Fortive Law Partners, $325,000.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Pharmacy.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I'm Donna Yateman with the Alabama Board of Pharmacy, and we are requesting approval for an attorney to be engaged for litigation.
Any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I can, is this specific litigation or just?
Yes, sir. There's a current lawsuit.
I would simply say y'all got a lot of chatter going on right now. Is that,
Yes, sir.
Is that fair? Okay.
We see smoke and we smell it, and folks tell us about smoke. So
I understand, and we are in the process of sending a document that will shed light on some of that smoke and let you know that there's not a fire there.
Okay, that's appropriate in our opinion. Any other comments? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Public Education Employees Health Insurance Board. Good morning.
Nia Scott, legal counsel for RSA and PHIP. We have 2 legal contracts with firms to provide assistance with negotiating our contracts with third-party vendors, primarily for our MAPDP and our PBM. These contracts have gotten very complex, and we've historically done this in-house, and we will still be primarily doing it through our attorneys. We just believe, we are hoping that this outside expertise can help us with these negotiations and potentially help us save money.
It is a complicated, sticky wicket. So,
Yes.
any questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Scott,
Yes, sir.
you couldn't get those Nashville attorneys to go for $195 an hour
We could not.
with all your persuasive skills.
We could not. This is actually much lower than the starting point. And if they're not helpful, we won't use them. This is kind of a new thing for us. And so we won't spend the money.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to have some conversations with Ms. Scott after the meeting.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll hold that, and if you'll,
And both of them, please.
yes, sir. School of Math and Science.
Hi, I'm Scarlett Spears Studdard. I'm the Director of Human Resources and Operations at Alabama School of Math and Science. And we have before you a contract for legal services with Nash Campbell of Adams and Reese. We do
We
not.
missed you last month.
I apologize. I got rear-ended in
The
Birmingham.
bus left and you weren't on it.
I actually showed up, but I was late. But painkillers and muscle relaxers made me sleep through my alarm. I apologize. It is all on me.
You need a lawyer?
What was that?
Need a lawyer for that injury there?
I actually have one.
We know some in Nashville.
I see that.
Be glad to help.
So I do apologize for missing last month. I was actually mortified. And I appreciate these folks for talking.
You know what?
I think
These folks are remarkable.
They're fabulous.
They make the world go round.
They do.
And their boss isn't so bad either, so we're grateful for them. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that school does great work. You know, the average ACT score is 30 at the Alabama School of Math and Science. They do fantastic work. I'm just
They need to get more commuter students going there, or at least allow them. Get their ADM up.
Yeah, but they just need more dorm rooms so they can. This doesn't have anything to do with you, by the way. This
Not for commuter students, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, last but not least, the one, the only, the honorable. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Young Boozer, State Treasurer. I'm here for the Alabama Trust Fund. We have a contract with Maynard Nexon. It says it's new, but it's actually a continuation of a relationship that we've had for 10 years for securities advice, particularly on the international side.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
That's a very complex contract, right, Mr. Treasurer? Securities advice?
Yes, sir, it is.
And the Maynard Nixon folks charge you $195 an hour for that.
Yes, I think that ought to be done in Nashville, too.
Oh. Thank you very much, Mr. Treasurer.
You're welcome.
They don't call you Mr. T for nothing.
Appreciated.
Yeah, and I will add this, if I may. Is this on the record? So when I was talking to Maynard, they said, gosh, it's only 195. There's been inflation recently. Do you understand that? And I said, I'll get back to you.
Sir, we appreciate your watching pennies because the pennies take care of nickels, dimes, quarters, and dollars. Thank
And
you.
it adds up to $1 billion.
It does. Appreciate that. All right, with that, we're adjourned. Thank you very much. See you back first Thursday next month at 1:30. Have a